So the Lakers and Clippers were pretty busy this offseason. I think that these two teams, they've put themselves in positions to compete for a championship yet again, and it's going to be interesting because we know that the Clippers are obviously very desperate right now with Kawhi and PG's contracts expiring. I feel like they have to at least make the finals next year for those guys to resign. If they end up getting bounced out in the second round again, or even if they lose in the conference finals, I think there's a good chance that both of those guys leave. As far as the Lakers, they definitely aren't as desperate as the Clippers because they are fresh off a championship, but we can't ignore the fact that LeBron is 35 and as superhuman as he's been to this point in his career, you have to think that at some point this guy is going to start declining a little bit. I'm going to say that LeBron can probably play at this level for another 2 years, and then he's going to start to slowly decline every year after that. Obviously, we don't know. For all we know, he could be the best player in the world until he retires, but if he does show signs of age at some point, then the Lakers probably only have 2 to 3 more years to realistically compete for a championship. So first off, I want to talk about the Lakers. I talked about the Montrezl signing in one of my previous videos, but in short, I think he's going to be a great fit with his team. LeBron loves playing in the pick and roll. He's going to love playing with Montrezl just because Montrezl rolls really hard to the rim, and LeBron's going to be able to find him for a lot of easy buckets. And Montrezl, he's got a really high motor as well, so as long as he's hustling and he's running the floor, LeBron's going to be able to reward him with a lot of easy buckets there too. And he has a decent handle, and he's pretty quick and athletic for a big, and on offense, there's going to be times when the Lakers can throw the ball down to him in the post, and he can get them easy buckets, which is something they didn't have last year. JaVale and Dwight didn't really have that ability. And then defensively, he's going to be great as well. I mean, he isn't the rim protector that JaVale or Dwight was, but he is better in the pick and roll. When the Lakers run lineups with AD and Harrell at the 4 and the 5, I think offenses are going to struggle a lot playing in the pick and roll against them just because you can't really take advantage of either of those guys. They can really switch onto smaller guards very well and defend on the perimeter very well, so that's going to be tough for teams to match up against. I think he's probably going to come off the bench though, just because I feel like the Lakers are going to start Gasol at the 5 next year. Gasol, he's still a good, smart defender, and last season he shot just under 40% from 3 with the Raptors, so he should be able to space the floor for LeBron, and he's a good passer, so I think the Lakers could try and feature him in the high post at times, and they could have guys cutting around, and he can try to find them for easy buckets. The only thing I worry about with Gasol is that his performance in the playoffs last year could repeat itself this year. Gasol shot under 20% from 3, and it was definitely getting in his head. That's the thing. Sometimes you see guys struggle with their shot, but they just keep shooting it, right? It's kind of like, I kind of think of LaMelo. Last season when he was playing in Australia, he shot a really bad percentage, but the thing is, like, LaMelo is the kind of guy where no matter how many misses he gets, if it's the end of the game and he has an open shot, he's going to shoot that shot, right? But with Gasol in the playoffs last year, especially during that Celtics series, there were many times where he was hesitating even when he had open looks, and it got to the point where Boston was just daring him to shoot, right? And then with LeBron, some guys struggle because there's just a different level of expectation when playing with him. And I'm a little worried that Gasol might be one of those guys who struggles. But if he could perform in the playoffs like he did during that Raptors championship run, he shot like 38% from 3 during those playoffs, and he was playing great defense and just doing everything that the Raptors really needed him to do, then the Lakers, they're going to be getting a really smart defender and a good floor spacer and passer on offense. And then they also got Wes Matthews. Don't really have too much to say about him. And I mean, at this point in his career, he's pretty much the same player as Danny Green. He's just going to be a lot cheaper for the Lakers next season. Then the Lakers, they also got Dennis Schroeder, who coincidentally they traded for Danny Green. I think he's going to be really nice for them, like Montrezl. I think Schroeder's probably going to come off the bench. Last season, he was a great three-point shooter. I'm just hoping that wasn't like a fluke, because throughout his career, he hasn't been the best three-point shooter. So I'm hoping that wasn't just like a one like a one season thing. I hope he can kind of keep that up for the Lakers, because then in that case he could play off LeBron and play with LeBron a bit. He showed us last year in OKC that he really can run a team second unit and just give them instant offense off the bench. And when you look at the Lakers bench, they could potentially have Schroeder, Kuzma, and Harrell, which is definitely a significant upgrade over the bench they had last year, just in terms of offensive production. Regular season-wise, Schroeder's going to be great for them. The only thing is that Rondo, he was really great in the playoffs. He proved that playoff Rondo is a real thing, so hopefully Schroeder can show up in the playoffs and play just as well as Rondo did last year for them, because if he does, then that's going to be a great pickup for them, and he's going to really help them off the bench. Then looking at the Clippers, we know that they definitely lost some key contributors. They lost Montrez, of course, but they also lost JaMychal Green to the Nuggets. He was a really nice 3-and-D guy, and they traded away Landry Shamet too, but they did end up bringing in Ibaka as well as Luke Kennard, which I think makes up for those losses. The Ibaka pickup, that's going to be really big for them, because last year in the playoffs, we saw that the Clippers, they really had no answer for Jokic. Like, Zubac, he played pretty good defense on him, but Jokic was able to get him in foul trouble quite a lot. And when Zubac did have to go to the bench, Harrell, he really couldn't do anything against Jokic. But I think Ibaka could fix that. He's a more reliable post defender. The Clippers, they played good enough perimeter defense during that series to actually beat the Nuggets. Murray had a good series, but really, other than that Game 7 where he just went absolutely crazy, the Clippers were able to keep him under control and make his life difficult for the most part. Like, if they could have made life tougher on Jokic as well, I really doubt that they blow that 3-1 lead, and Ibaka should be able to help guard against skilled bigs like Jokic if they have to meet up with Denver again, and if they have to meet up with the Lakers. I think that Ibaka could be a better matchup on AD than Harrell could. Like, he's not going to stop him, but he could at least make life more difficult, right? And on top of that, Ibaka, he's just as good on offense as Harrell is. Like, they have a different style of play on offense. Ibaka's more of a stretch big than he is an interior scorer like Harrell, but yeah, I mean, in today's NBA, you can never go wrong with having more spacing, especially at that center spot, right? And then the Clippers, they were also able to trade for Luke Kennard. Like Shamet, Kennard, he's a great three-point shooter, but he's a bit more well-rounded and skilled offensively than Shamet is, just because he's, like I said, he's a great shooter, but he can also put the ball on the floor, and he can score in the mid-range too. So I think playing off-ball, he's going to really be able to attack off closeouts well, and when he has the ball in his hands, he can play well in the pick and roll, and he's a pretty good playmaker. He averaged like 4 assists per game last season, so that's going to be good for them. And then on top of that, he's not just a guy who's good off the ball because he's a good shooter. He moves pretty well off the ball too. Like last year, Detroit, they would have Kennard coming off ball screens quite a lot. They'd put him in a lot of those situations, and he was good. Like, one of the main issues with the Clippers offense last year was that the team they were too stagnant, and they just got too reliant on their ISO scorers like Kawhi or PG or Lou to just kind of create offense out of nothing. So having a guy like Kennard who showed that he can be used in a number of different ways, both on and off the ball, could make the Clippers offense more hard to guard when he's in the game. So like Schroeder and Harrell on the Lakers, I think Kennard and Ibaka will most likely come off the bench for the Clippers. I see the starting lineup being Beverly, PG, Kawhi, Marcus Morris, and Zubac, with Lou Will, Luke Kennard, Patrick Patterson, and Ibaka coming off the bench. As long as Marcus Morris can really just embrace his role as being like a 3-and-D guy who's mainly there to provide the team with versatile defense and spacing, and occasionally he can get his ISO shots and that kind of stuff, then I think that's going to be great. I think if he starts to take too many shots, then that's when it can be a problem. But we're going to assume that he's going to fit in and accept his role there. As far as which team I think is better, it's really close, but I'm going to have to give the nod to the Clippers for now. This team, they're just as deep as last year's team, and I think that Ibaka actually fits in a little bit better with this team than Harrell did. And Kennard, he's also going to provide them with another guy that can handle the ball and make some plays. I know that the Lakers, they're coming off a championship, and I do think that they became deeper now. The Clippers, I think they just have better depth, in my opinion, more consistent depth to rely on. And even though I do like the Clippers more at this point, I don't like them way more. If these two teams meet up in the playoffs, I'd say Clippers in 7, but I could definitely see the Lakers winning that series. I mean, we'll have to see what these teams look like at the end of the year, because we know that they're probably either going to make moves at the trade deadline or maybe sign guys that were waived by other teams. But as of right now, I like the Clippers just a little bit more.